It's the end of this triple header and we finish it in Jeddah. Let's start talking about the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix. And let's start off with the circuit because having a look through Wikipedia beforehand, I noticed something interesting, which is that technically the track doesn't have its Grade 1 license at the time of recording this. So I assume they're going to just do it on the fly on the day. That's how it has worked before. They tend to just go, okay, yeah, we walked around, it's fine. And the reason why is because technically it's a street circuit. Now, I've been saying this for a while, but I noticed that Peter Brook is also saying this. It's a street circuit that's not a street circuit. Yes, these were roads, but no, they aren't roads like you see the Long Beach street circuit that IndyCar was at last week. It's not even like Monaco. It is a purpose-built circuit. This is racing tarmac that has been laid down. And sure, technically you could probably drive on it, but the main use for these roads is for racing. These buildings are permanent, they're not temporary like at Albert Park. It's like Singapore, but Singapore does actually use some official streets with official road markings on it. Anyways, I digress. Let's start off by talking about the schedule. And, well, in terms of the supporting series for the weekend, we're going to have Formula 2, F1 Academy, as Formula 3 hasn't made it across from the previous round in Bahrain, and then we'll have the Carrera Cup Middle East as well. So I'm going to start off with local time. If you want to convert it across to UK time, you take 2 hours off. I'll do that afterwards anyways. If you want to convert across to GMT or UTC, it's 3 hours. So, starting off, Friday local time, F2, then F1 Academy, then F1. FP1 is at 4:30 local time, followed by F2 qualifying, and then the F1 Academy qualifying at 9:30 local time. After FP2, which is at 8 PM local time. On the Saturday, F1 Academy's first race is at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon local time. FP3 follows that at 4:30, followed by the F2 Sprint at around 6 PM local. After that you have F1 qualifying at 8 PM local, and then we go through to the Sunday. F1 Academy's second race, 3 PM local. F2, its feature race is going to be at about 4:30 local, before the Grand Prix, which starts at around 8 PM local time. So converted across to UK, that means that FP1 is at 2:30 UK time, followed by F2 qualifying at 4 o'clock. You then have FP2 at 6 PM, followed by F1 Academy qualifying at 7:30. On the Saturday, you have FP3 after the F1 Academy. The F1 Academy is at about 20 past 1 and FP3 is about 2:30. The F2 Sprint is at about 4 PM, followed by qualifying around 6 PM UK time. Then on the Sunday, it's around 1 PM for the F1 Academy race and around 2:30 for F2's feature, followed by the Grand Prix at 6 PM UK time. Turn the clocks back 12 months and, well, much like last time around with the Bahrain Grand Prix, you wouldn't exactly get back to the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix because last year's race was on the 9th of March. It was on the Saturday though because of Ramadan. So we're a month later this time around, and turn the clocks back 13 months, Sergio Perez was in second place to Max Verstappen. He'd received a 5-second time penalty for an unsafe release but still held on to second. At the same time, this was Ollie Behrman's F1 debut. He had to be called up to replace Carlos Sainz, as Carlos Sainz had a bout of appendicitis, had to have his appendix removed. The standout performances were the likes of Fernando Alonso in 5th, whilst Lando Norris was down in 8th, Lewis Hamilton was down in 9th place. Pierre Gasly was a retirement with gearbox, whilst Lance Stroll crashed. And yeah, that was the standout summary, I guess, of the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix for 2024. But the problem is, it's hard to think of ones to watch for this race. Albert Park would probably be the closest measure because it's also a street circuit, but the problem is Albert Park is actually a street circuit, and as a result we need to think about higher speed bits as well. So as a result of that, Shanghai is a good one to think of because it was one that was recently fully resurfaced, or Sector 1 of Suzuka that was recently resurfaced. Bahrain has some kind of measure because it's a testing track, but it's still the original surface is 20 plus years old. So based on that, I mean, Ferrari might be able to run the cars a bit lower, provided that they don't get their planks too worn out and get themselves disqualified, much like what happened to Hulkenberg in Bahrain. That was a skid block over wear that got him disqualified. McLaren, you're going to have to say that they are the favourites. They did really well in Australia. They were the better car in Shanghai. It just so happened that the drivers couldn't put together the performances required to dominate the entire weekend. Lewis Hamilton ended up winning the sprint, remember. But I would say this is probably going to be a better one for Ferrari. I don't know how Mercedes will do. Mercedes last year, and generally in the ground effect era, tended to do better at flatter, more even tracks. And this track, which is pretty much as close to sea level as you can get, unless you're, Zandvoort, is one of those tracks that rewards cars that can stay at that same level and rewards cars that perform relatively well on flat surfaces. That said, ground effect cars tend to perform well on flat surfaces. Aston Martin has run better here than average over the past few years. So realistically, it's anyone's game. The most likely thing to happen, and it sounds like slander, it sounds like I'm being mean to the guy, but this has happened, I think, more often than not at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, is that Lance Stroll will probably have a crash. He doesn't like the circuit, and I mean, was it turn 22, because it's 27 corners this track, is the one where he's had more incidents in the past? But yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say who necessarily is going to be the ones to watch here, because it's again another circuit that is its own kind of unique beast. With that said, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching as always, and until next time, it's bye-bye for now.